Hey, it's the Ray Rican, and I'm gonna talk about a news article, news topic, real quick. But before I talk about that, one of my favorite comedians just passed away, Norm Macdonald. If you don't, most of the people around my age group know him from Saturday Night Live. He did the Weekend Update, which, if anyone watches it now, is just partisan trash. Norm Macdonald and like Dennis Miller, there were people who did the update, that Weekend Update, and they made fun of both sides. This was a time when they would make fun of the left and the right, not like now where it's just straight up just making fun of the right. That's it. Uh, that's why it's not so funny. But Norm Macdonald had this humor that would catch you off guard. It was something where it's like, okay, was that supposed to be a joke? And then it hits you and you're like, oh shit, that's funny. Um, so I mean, he was young, he was 61. Um, I would say, for people who haven't, like for younger people who don't know who he is, I would suggest just just Google him. Just go to videos, and you can see some of his old jokes. See him. I mean, he used to make people uncomfortable. Which is hilarious because he would tell jokes that people would be like, "Did you really just say that?" And that's the type of comedian he is. He was. And apparently, he had a 9-year battle with cancer that he kept quiet because he didn't want the sympathy. He didn't want the publicity. Um, he just battled it quietly, just kind of like, oh, what's his name? Chad with um Black can't point. Oh man, it's gonna bother me. Just like the Black Panther guy, that he had cancer. He was losing weight. Nobody knew nothing. He was battling it privately till when he passed away. Also, um, and there's a lot of there's a lot of credit to give to actors and comedians like this guy, that they fought their battle in private. They didn't want sympathy from the fans and all that stuff. They just wanted people to enjoy their work. And like I said, so I encourage people to go on YouTube and search his old videos. Now, if you're PC, I don't suggest you watch his videos because, um, Norm Macdonald didn't have a potty mouth. I mean, not like some other comedians that are F this, F that. Um, but like his jokes are not politically correct. So if you're like you need a trigger warning, um, he's not the comedian for you if you need a trigger warning. Uh, if you're one of those that love those type of joke, love that sarcastic, witty humor, um, you'll get it from him. And all right, well, that's my spiel on Norm Macdonald. What I wanted to talk about is this story that I just heard. Um, General Milley, Mr. White Rage, secretly pledged to warn Chinese Communist Party if Trump planned the strike. Now, here's the whole thing. That shows you how Trump derangement syndrome even got the military, got this guy here. I mean, obviously, if he's talking about white rage and reading Kendi and reading white fragility and all this stuff, you already know where he stands. I mean, he was even reading. I think he said he read um, Mike Comf and all that stuff. You're talking about a guy who's already on the left, and we need in our military, we don't need leftists in our military. We need uh, people who understand being neutral, that you don't have an allegiance to a political party. Now, granted, I will give him credit for going, you know what? It doesn't matter the president. When they're about to leave office, there should be a fail-safe for preventing any president from, taking unprecedented action. Um, so, it's crazy that this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a guy who actually spoke to the CCP. This is something that should have been kept in house. You don't talk about this stuff. This is stuff. And the fact that he even spoke about this to Bob Woodward, I don't care. This is stuff you keep behind closed doors. This is not stuff, even if you thought, I understand that's what he thought Trump was going to do. It doesn't matter the president. It should be kept behind closed doors. If you have these worries, especially you're talking about this was at the last 2 weeks of that Trump was in office, you keep it quiet. But this doesn't show his integrity. This shows his partisanship. And I think this guy needs to resign. I mean, it's what this guy's done as Secretary of what's his position now? He's chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Here goes, General Milley, who controversially defended teaching Marxist critical race theory in the military, telephoned his Chinese party counterpart, General Li Zhoucheng, twice in the final months of Trump's administration. Milley's calls, according to Bob Wood and Rob Costa's new book entitled Peril, were aimed at restricting the president of the U.S. ability to wage kinetic war against China. Stunningly, Milley even secretly pledged to inform Beijing ahead of any potential U.S. military action. Now, I get it. Look, I get trying to prevent Trump for the 2 weeks that he was going to leave, before he was going to leave office. Get it. But to warn our enemies, considering all the stuff that's happened, especially with the coronavirus, no, it's unacceptable. This guy needs to, he really needs to resign. He really needs to resign. But I mean, like I said, it's not surprising considering he's an ideologue. He's not ideologically neutral. He's an ideologue. And people will go, oh, well, people are entitled to have their ideology. Yes. But when you're in the military, you shouldn't be a Marxist. You shouldn't be someone who agrees with Marxist philosophy as a military guy, especially for the United States. You're the wrong country if you have Marxist ideas. But and this is what it says it best in this article from the National Pulse. Was it? Yeah, the National Pulse. It goes here that General Milley, after January 6th, spoke to Nancy Pelosi, and that's not his job. He's there. He agreed. Here's the funny thing: he agreed with Pelosi, and he's like, "Oh, I agree with you completely," and he's going to foil whatever Trump had planned. But why didn't you tell the president in Afghanistan to, hey, look, why don't we keep Bagram Air Base? Or, that would be the better place. Why would you tell him, why would you not give him sound military advice and go, it's easier to defend and get people evacuated from this air base than in the middle of the city? It's like, if you want to airlift people out of New York, you're better off doing it in, let's say, Stewart Airport in Poughkeepsie, I think that's what it's Stewart, than it is to do it even Newark would be better than, let's say, LaGuardia. LaGuardia would be the worst. Even JFK would be better, but even JFK is not that good. You want to go out in the middle of nowhere, where it's easier to defend. But this is what happens when everything becomes partisan, everything becomes ideological, when you can't separate the two. And that's why some people say we're going through a cold civil war. It's not something that, maybe in the history books 100 years from now, they'll talk about the cold civil war that started, I don't know, 2012. I'm just throwing a date out there, throwing a year out there. 2012 started the cold civil war, and here we are 100 years later, living the effects of whatever, the cold civil war. And now we know how to what points to keep aware of when stuff like that's going on. That's, like I said, history books, but we'll see. But yeah, it's gross what this guy did. And even other just stuff he did that, he should just do himself a favor and resign. I'm gonna leave it there. If you agree with me, let me know. Leave me a comment. And hopefully, I'm just an FYI. I got one of my YouTube videos on my one of my YouTube videos got deleted. It's still available on Rumble. I guess you can't criticize Biden, and you can't criticize Biden and his new edict. And I'll leave it at that. So that's how you can find it on Rumble. Just go to my channel if you're interested in watching it. All right. With that being said, I hope you guys have a good one.